Alright, so before we jump into Maya and actually get started modeling, it's important for you to understand what a 3D pipeline is and a 3D modeling pipeline. So this is an example of a feature film pipeline, and I'll kind of walk you through it, but you can see modeling is right at the beginning of the pipeline here, which means we affect the most departments. If we goof something up, whether it's a naming convention, how we modeled something, or how we passed the files off, that can affect a lot of the studio and also bring the whole production to a halt. So the reason we set up a pipeline is so things move smoothly between departments, and hopefully we can get done the work as quick as possible and at a high quality. So pipelines really help us out with this. Any sort of feature film will start with storyboarding, so we'll always have something to go off of, right? Reference. And then they'll shoot the footage and do some previs. The previs could be done in After Effects or Maya. And now you can see this kind of branches off to two places. We have to match move that footage so we can add the live or the CG assets back into it. And then we'll start modeling, adding joints and such to the models so they can be animated. The animation scenes could be going through layout, so the camera's set up for the animators. Maybe if there's motion capture, the motion capture is in that scene with the way the camera cuts and ready for the animator to kind of finish it off or finalize it. From there, we can jump to a matte painting, so we might be changing the background. Our animation files might need some character effects such as hair and cloth sims added to it. There might need some visual effects like explosions, or maybe our person turns to sand or dust. And then our final assets and scenes need to be textured and lit or shaded before they go back to lighting and compositing everything back to one plate. So a lot of work goes on to make just one shot for a movie, and the modeling department kind of affects all of that. So you really need to be cautious about how you set up your models, keeping the scene files really nice and clean and organized. Here's an example of a modeling pipeline. This goes more towards games, but it follows pretty closely to film as well. So we're going to do high res in both. You could call it low res, but I prefer in-game models. So from here, it would be UV mapped. There might be some additional sculpting done on top, and some of these things at certain studios are done in different orders. So just kind of keep that in mind. Retopology would be a riggable topology, which you'll learn about later on in school. From here, right, we're going to do some baking. So you can do some baking of your high res to your in-game model to get some details to that in-game model. And then you're going to move on to painting and texturing inside a package such as Substance Painter to get even more kind of details with it. So again, I don't necessarily need you to understand everything that's on this graph or chart, but just understand that we work with other people. We may be doing most of the stuff that's on this chart, and we may only do a portion of it, right? But we need to be able to pass these files, keep it clean and organized, and just understand that we affect others at the company. And then finally, we have our own modeling pipeline here at school, and this is an example of the coil that you guys are going to be building or modeling this week. So let's jump over to our actual pipeline that I've set up. This will be the document that everyone's copying off, so there's a link on FSO so you guys can grab this. I started out the pipeline with just some tools that you're going to learn about this month, and some that you should be learning about on your own. So we're not necessarily going to cover all of these, but there are ones that I feel like you need to know to really start getting good and proficient at modeling. You may want to add to these as well, so do some research on your own and add some tools, to your toolbox up here. Workflows, concepts, and building interesting shapes. These are all problem-solving techniques, so we'll be covering pretty much all of these inside a lecture. I did start to make some videos for each one, so it's a smaller snippet. It won't cover everything that we cover inside of lecture, but it should hopefully refresh your memory on how to problem solve or model one of the tasks that are inside of here. And then if we go down, it's going to go step by step, everything you need to do pretty much in order for modeling a 3D asset. Again, this is very simplistic, entry level, because we are in 3DF. So my goal is that you take this pipeline with you into model creation and the later modeling classes, and you build on this pipeline, right, making yourself a more proficient modeler.